And now the time to shine goes to the O'Reilly Auto Parts USRA stock cars. Again, 15 strong, a $750 payday for these guys.
Let's look at the lineup for the A feature for tonight. On the pole, Darren Schmidt, the Winchester, Kansas native in the 85. And on the outside, Robert White, the Lebanon, Missouri, number 5. Row number 2, it's going to be Jeff Tennant from Greenwood, Arkansas, the 27. On the outside, it is the Bullet. The Buckhorn Bullet, that is David Hendricks, Waynesville, Missouri, the 54. Your third row, James McMillan, the Warrensburg, Missouri, number 8. And on the outside, Mason Beck from Urbana, Missouri, in the 0 car. William Garner, the Lebanon, Missouri, number 7. And Brian White, Lebanon, Missouri, the 41. Tony Anglin, Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, the 1 car. And Rodney Schweitzer, the Kansas City, Kansas, number 74. On the outside, it's James Ellis, Richland, Missouri, in the 83. Ed Griggs, Pleasant Hill, 47. David Oxford, Platte City, 27. Blaine McMillan, Warrensburg, Missouri, the 24. And your final, that is James Barker, Nevada, Missouri, and the 79. That's going to be your lineup for tonight's main event.
Bill Robert Chevrolet Pace Truck has a couple of ride-along riders in it as it makes another lap or two around the Diamond of Dirt tracks. Again, what a difference a day makes. Hello, wave to them. If you're in the stands, wave to the folks in the truck.
Yep, find your favorite out there. Let them know you're out here and you are ready for racing.
Lights are out on the Pace Truck. Yesterday, the flag was blowing straight out to the northeast. Now the wind is blowing straight down. Not a bit of movement on that flag right now as they're stacked and packed. And Darren Schmidt, pilot of the number 85, first time he has been here to Lucas Oil Speedway. The Winchester, Kansas native started out last year in a pure stock and a hobby stock. He won the championship at Lakeside. Decided to make the move up to a stock car. Let's see if it pays off. His first trip to the Diamond of Dirt tracks. He's got a champion to the outside of him and Rob White.
It is 3 wide coming out of turn number 2. The 85 takes the point. Schmidt, the Winchester, Kansas native, goes into turn 3 with the lead, but it's side by side for Rob White. And it looks like David Hendricks of 54. Hendricks takes that second spot.
Rage chassis, mid-state engine for Darren Schmidt, sponsored by Suburban Schmidt Trenching. As you see, 1 car turned around, and that is Blaine McMillan. He's another rookie driver in the stock car division, but where Darren Schmidt has an advantage is Darren Schmidt has 1 year in a pure stock. Blaine McMillan has 1 week in a stock car, and that was last week. He's got a lot of talent, seeing he won 6 times last year, 5 at Lakeside. And then being able to see what he's doing here tonight for Smitty. He is something else, and if he can continue to show that he can battle with the rest of these guys, you've got track champions in your rearview mirror right now, both in David Hendricks as well as Rob White Jr.
Yeah, both of them going to be tough competition. We're going to find out here shortly as they come out of turn number. Whoa, number 4. Somebody went high.
High, wide, and not so handsome. That's Jeff Tennant in the 27. Pro. Not sure if he checked up because they didn't go green and the cars back behind him didn't. But climb out. Mason Beck's car probably got the worst end of all that just from the way it looks from up here.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little bit more compact side to side than it started.
Tony Anglin on the hook as well. He had a good run last night at Humboldt when he finished second. Only top 5. Garner peeks his head in and has a quick word with Mason Beck, just talking about the damage on his car, trying to give him a heads up. Given the fact that Williams already out, my guess is his night's done. They're putting the hood back on Rob White's car, so he might be all right.
Yeah, I don't think he got a whole lot of damage. It doesn't look like maybe the hood a little bit of bent, but I think he's going to be able to take off and go. But I'm like you. I think Beck's car is probably done and looks like probably Garner's car also.
Told you earlier that the Whites out of Lebanon had a YouTube page, Fifth Gear Racing. Looking on that YouTube page now, they've got the handful of videos, including everything that happened during our season opener a week ago. There you look inside the fuel cell of Tony Anglin. We were going to go 25 laps, but we are going to shrink that down to 20 now.
Yeah, a little bit of time constraint on there, and as they get these cars apart, so when they get that to that point, we'll be good to go. There goes White driving off.
He looks like he's in good shape. All the damage looked as though it was going to be on the left. Doesn't look like there's hardly anything at all there.
No, I don't think he's got a flat tire or anything, Shane. As a matter of fact, I think he's doing really good. No damage. Like I said, looked like Mason Beck slid into the side of him and made contact, but just very slightly.
MAV TV cameras will be back next week whenever we go enduro racing. 1.5 thousand to win.
Do what?
1.5 thousand to win, I think is what I saw on the sheet back there.
So did we get to enter?
If you want to, do you think you can make that many laps? Do you think you can? How long did we go last year? What did that end up being? Around 40 minutes or so?
I think it was a little longer than that.
Was it longer than that?
That's always a lot of fun, but it's just a long race. But man, you got a lot of laps count, and you got to time out. It's a strategy game on the enduro. You got to time out when you're going to go in for gas or tires or whatever.
Well, now see, last year, what I loved about that event was didn't have to go in for tires, didn't have to go in for gas. They had plenty of that. But if you spun out, if you had difficulty, whatnot, and you wrecked, you stayed in your car. You didn't get out. Your car stayed exactly where it was. They don't throw a caution. So everybody else has to work around you. But if you are in a spot to where you might be in jeopardy of getting hit, you're at risk. They throw the red flag. Everybody stops exactly where you're at. They go out, they take care of the car like Tony Anglin right now, getting him on the tow, getting him back to the pit. And then once track is cleared, they don't line them back up. They say, green, 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 go, 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 and everybody starts from exactly where they stopped on the track. That was the coolest thing. I think we should just implement that as a rule for a couple of the divisions anyway. Not all of them.
Not all of them. No, that's interesting, but I don't think all of them would like that for sure.
Hobby Time Motorsports safety crew getting paid overtime. Here for our stock cars, we only have one lap in. You sure we don't want to go 15, Chris?
Well, definitely flat tire on Anglin's car as he is heading into the pits. I believe his night's going to be done, though. Heavy damage on Garner's car. That 7 car of William Garner, Lebanon, Missouri. And we have yet to see the other side of Beck's. Beck's out of his car now. He's looking at it. Doesn't look very happy.
No, I don't think so. William Garner, last year, champion at Dallas County Speedway. He's made the progression where we see Smitty up front doing the same thing, going pure stock to stock car. For William Gardner, did the same thing. Started in a bomber, then went to a pure stock, then to a stock car. So he's made the natural progression. He finished 6th last week. Had 1 win last year, finished 6th in points here at Lucas Oil Speedway. Had 3 wins back in 2021 total. And then Mason Beck there in the 0. He finished number 7 in the USRA National Point Standings with 11 wins, 2 of which came here at the Diamond of Dirt tracks. Yeah, right front, can't see it from this side, but you can see the damage sticking up, so they will bring him into the infield.
He's going to take a look and see if he thinks he can run.
I think he's probably already taken a look at it. He's been out of that car once already.
Now we actually get a look at that 0 car of Beck's, and from here, it's not terrible, but there's a lot of sheet metal damage in there. He's going to have to get fixed, or he's going to have a tire rub problem for sure.
He's got hands in his pockets, helmet already off, climbing back in, so maybe they'll give him a push or something. You know, these fire suits have pockets in them.
No,
So my dad, back whenever he raced, long time ago, he crossed the scales and was a little bit underweight. It wasn't much, but just enough. And somehow he talked the officials at the track into letting him weigh again. Said, guys, that's not right. I know I made weight. And I'm not sure. He passed the scales again, and he was good. He made weight the next time. He was heavy enough. Got back to the pits, and you wouldn't believe the number of sockets and wrenches and ratchets that were stuck in his pocket.
I'm surprised there wasn't lead weights in his pocket. Wow. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of stories he could tell.
Well, this is a story that Mason Beck doesn't want to tell. Doesn't want to relive this. Only one lap in, and his car now is going to need a tow.
Yeah, I believe he is done for the night. You know, Mason Beck, one of a very good competitor here at Lucas Oil Speedway, very fast in this class especially. But he has been always competitive, just got in the wrong place at the wrong time.
William Garner's Franklin chassis Eagle engine. See Mitchell Franklin here tonight. Talked to him before the races got started. We'll see him in the B-Mod main. Hasn't been able to run all that much. He said, you know, I've had a lot of success in this car. We're building a lot of cars now, building a lot more Franklin chassis. He was kind of joking around. He said, White Jr. took forever for them to get his car back out and ready to roll. David Hendricks will inherit the lead. Jeff Tennant, who brought that caution out, it wasn't even a caution. We didn't even get the green because Tennant spun over in turn number 4. He gets his spot back.
And everybody checked up and behind him, or in front of him, I guess.
We are down to 8, and it does indeed look like a salvage yard on the infield over at turn number 1. 4 cars sit there. They're all out of business, and in business right now is the Buckhorn Bullet, David Hendricks. Schweitzer gets tagged. He spun. We saw some issues with the 746 earlier on, and his night just got worse as he got tattooed by J.J. James Barker out of Nevada, Missouri. And Schweitzer's car is stopped, and the Hobby Time Motorsports safety crew thought they were on a coffee break after they got the other 5 cars taken away. Also won our championship back in 07 at I-44. Mike Striegel gives them the 1-to-go sign.
Telling that back to catch up, keep it tight, and come around. David Hendricks brings them around on the Delaware restart.
Started with 15.
Down to 6.
And we've ran 1 lap.
Under green. Here they come out of turn number 4. Green flag in the air this time. David Hendricks of 54, the Buckhorn Bullet out front as they come out of turn number 2.
And here comes Rob White Jr. looking to the inside.
27, that is Jeff Tennant. Greenwood, Arkansas in that 3rd spot. We were talking about he spun and started this all off. Brian White, the 41, part of that Lebanon Mafia in that 4th spot. Here comes White.
Blaine McMillan spun in turn 4. He will get it back underway, get it off of the racing surface. We stay green. That completed lap number 2. This is lap number 3.
David Hendricks still out front. Finds a high side coming around. Tennant gets loose coming out of turn number 2 this time. It is White and the 41.
Of White.
I
was curious which one you were talking about there, Rob or Brian?
It's a battle between the Whites for that 2nd spot.
Hendricks now flat-footing it out 10 car lengths ahead. Ryan looks to the outside of Rob. It came down to 8 points between these two last year for a championship at Lucas Oil Speedway. Rob was joking around with me. I'm telling you, if you're listening or watching this, he was joking with me whenever he said this. He said, I blocked for my son earlier on in the year to where he could pick up a win here at Lucas Oil Speedway. Me blocking for him cost me 8 points and cost me a championship. He was joking when he said that. I'm thinking he's doing a little, well, no, he's not doing a lot of blocking because he really hasn't moved off the bottom of the track. But he's looking to pick up at least that right there in that area. It's going to be a difference of 4 points. That'll be half of what he lost last year.
It is Robert White, second. Brian White in third. Jeff Tennant in fourth, the 83. In that fifth spot, that is James Ellis. Ellis, Richland, Missouri, but it is David Hendricks. Hendricks out front, showing the way. 7 down of 20.
Brian White gets into Rob just a little bit. Brian would love to find a way to get around Rob, but I think both of them would like to find a way to catch up with the Buckhorn Bullet and David Hendricks. That's who they really need to have their crosshairs on.
Yeah, absolutely. Hendricks dominant out front in this stock car. Glad to see him back. And like you said, this is an Allen chassis. And, man, it was fast last year with Scotty behind the wheel. Wasn't this one, but one just like it. And fast this year with David Hendricks right there.
So over there in 2, Rob White took a big chunk out of the lead that David Hendricks had. It also pulled away from Brian, and now David Hendricks just clicking off lap after lap now that we do indeed have only 5 cars out on the track. This is really the only battle for position at all anywhere right now. As you go on back to Jeff Tennant running in fourth, that's an entire straightaway, and Ellis now behind him. Look at him coming right into your living room on the front stretch underneath the flag stand as David Hendricks continues to motor his way running up front. He has a 1 second advantage over Rob White. Brian White's back in third. And those are 3 of the only 5 cars on the track. Darren Schmidt is locked in to 6th right now.
Well, you know, Rob and Brian are sitting there trying to wait for David Hendricks to make a mistake. That's probably not going to happen. They keep on keeping on, trying to catch up with him. But David Hendricks, like you said, just clicking off laps with 7 to go this time. And fast cars, both those White's cars are very, very fast. But, man, I'll tell you what, still yet to catch David Hendricks. Starting to close that gap, though.
Okay, so we went from a second to 0.8 to 0.6.
Yep.
Rob White's cutting out 0.2 of a second every single lap. He's down to 0.6 with 6 to go. Math tells me, even that Lebanon mathematics that I got, tells me that Rob White has a chance on David Hendricks if he just continues to do what he's doing. Running the low side. Hendricks up top. They are running 2 distinct different lines. This time Hendricks will move down on the track. Doesn't necessarily squeeze off the nose of Rob White, but he will at least make it interesting as it's down to half a car length now. He's going to get up on the back bumper. Does Rob White have enough to catch up with the Buckhorn Bullet? Half a car length right now. He'll get closer through turns 3 and 4. This has turned into a 3-car battle with 3 to go. Rob White got closer. He's now broken his left front tie rod end. His left tire was way off the pace. He's to the inside. Now the battle is still for the top spot, but this is a different White, and the caution's gonna come out. Rob White did not get far enough off the track, and Brian White, with only 2 to go, looked as though he was going to have enough to catch up with David Hendricks, but the Boone's Barbecue caution will come out for Rob White Jr. And you can tell with the way that left front tire is pointed towards the infield, that's not the way Rob White wants to go. Another look at it as this happened over in turns 1 and 2, hit a rut. Something breaks underneath the plays into his advantage. If we had stayed green, I don't know. I think Brian White might have had something for the Buckhorn Bullet, but now we're down to 4. 4 cars, that is. 2 laps, 2 laps to go. Told you David Hendricks was good on restarts. Brian White hung with him through turn 1, but not quite through turn 2. White flag in the hand of the Wheatland Outlaw. Brian White doing everything he can to catch up with David Hendricks. Gives another good run. Pulls up alongside. Contact made. Hendricks keeps it straight on the final lap. Last week, David Hendricks tried to make it to Lucas Oil Speedway, but his wife was dancing with the stars. Tonight, David Hendricks dances with the stock cars. He leads, he wins.